Hi, today is Friday, March 3rd, 2017. It's the third day of Lent, and this is A Swede Speaks. What does it mean to be conservative? What does conservatism really mean? I mean, obviously, I can't figure all that out in just one short video. So this is the second video in the series Being Conservative. Last time I told a little about my own story. I will probably get back to it. But today, what I was thinking about is the principle of cautiousness, which could be called the devil you know is better than the devil you don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm a Christian, and that doesn't sound really nice, but I mean, that is the truth. That is the truth. The way I see politics, I don't think any politician or any political program, any party, no man-made politics can create a perfect society, utopia, heaven on earth, something like that. That just cannot happen. The only one who can do that is God. I know, I keep on saying this, but this is important. First of all, we have to forget the idea of the perfect society. And that means socialism will not work. Libertarianism, at least in its purest form, will not work. Any ideology you can come up with, it will not work if your idea is that it's going to bring about a perfect society with no conflicts or almost no conflicts, with everlasting peace, etc. So what do we have? We know where we stand right now. And where do we stand? We stand on the shoulders of the people who came before us. And our job is to protect the good things, to get rid of the bad things. Oh, this sounds easy, doesn't it? Yeah, until you start discussing what's good and what's bad. And to give what we got to those who come after us, and hopefully a little better than what we got ourselves. And the reason why conservatism now has become so important is because for generations progressives have been running the world. And old established truths, ideas, the things that upheld Western civilization have been challenged. But now it looks like conservatism is turning into the new counterculture. Among other things, because we are the only ones who are truly defending freedom of speech. And in a country like Sweden or Norway, it doesn't help only with saying that we have what we have and we'll stick at that. The idea of status quo. In a perfect society, or well, there are no perfect societies, but in a good enough society, we could actually do that. We could say that let's first put our energy into preserving this. But in many Western countries, this includes Sweden, this includes Norway, and as far as I understand, it also includes the United States. Left liberalism has done so much harm to society, so we have to get rid of a lot of stuff. But maybe I digress a little. Let's go to the devil you know. What has developed in our world is a result of trying and failure, and sometimes success. For instance, Christianity. Christianity was introduced to Europe during a period of a little more than 1,000 years. Sweden, for instance, was christened around the year of 1000. Denmark a little earlier, Norway also around this general time, Finland somewhere around 1100, 1200. The historians are discussing this. And Christianity has shown to be a civilizing force, a force for good. Even if you're not a believer, you should appreciate this. that Western civilization is built upon a Judeo-Christian heritage. When we get rid of this, then a lot of crazy stuff are starting to happen, which we can see in the West. But I mean, okay, Christianity is not the devil we know. Christianity is a good thing, at least that's the way I see it. But let's say an imperfect society. Which one should we pick? Let's say Syria. I mean, which isn't even a Western civilization or anything like that, but they have this authoritarian leader, Bashar al-Assad. I don't think he's a good guy, but he is the devil they know. And it has come to my knowledge that most Christians in Syria support him because they are very well aware of what might come if he's not staying in power. Because the opposition in Syria, yeah, there were some Marxists among them, but hey, Marxists are just as crazy as the Islamists. But the Islamists will win in the long run in the conflict between Marxists and Islamists. Because, yeah, look at Iran. The Islamists are just... well, one thing is they are more brutal, and the other thing is that Islamists are more rooted in the culture there. But anyway, so let's say that Assad will fall. I mean, Obama and Hillary, they wanted to depose him, and they did their best. At the end, I think they stopped trying to depose him because they figured out that the Islamic State was maybe a bigger threat than Assad. So he's still in power. So Syria, as long as he's in control, and if he joins forces with the United States and with Russia, and who knows, maybe with China too, to finish off the Islamic State, you won't have chaos and anarchy or Sharia laws in Syria, which is good. Because if you look at what happened in, say, Iraq, Saddam was not very nice at all. He was deposed by the United States and their allies. And look at what happened then. That was one of the things that led to the rise of the Islamic State. And don't get me wrong now. I've had this discussion lots of times with crazy people online. People who think that Islamic terrorism is only a result of American foreign policies. It's not. Islamic terrorism is a result of Islam. But some of the American foreign policy lately have made this terrorism stronger. But that does not mean that Islamic terrorism is because of the United States. It's because of Islam. Trust me on this. So, as a good Burkean conservative, I would of course say that in the Islamic nations, they should convert to Christianity and build a Christian civilization. But yeah, that's what they should do. Look at what happened in Libya. When Gaddafi was deposed, he was really a naughty person. He did a lot of crazy stuff. But what happened then? He was the one in power, and he made sure there was some kind of order in the country. That order is now gone. You have civil war and unrest, and you have the whole migrant crisis with people coming through Libya, people coming all the way from Afghanistan, through the Middle East, through Turkey, and to Europe. And, yeah, I could go on for a long time about this. But maybe I shouldn't right now. Maybe I have to investigate this further and get back to you. And maybe I have to do more videos on this specific part of conservatism. But what I could say is, if you want to depose the existing order, if you have some radical idea about how to make society perfect, you don't even have to go to the Middle East. I mean, look at Russia. What happened when they deposed the Tsar, the emperor? And they tried with some kind of liberal democracy first. That was fine, although I think it was doomed to fail because it hadn't grown organically in Russia. They just tried to impose it overnight. And that is one of my main points. You cannot overturn the existing order and just get a new order overnight that will work perfectly. When democracy, liberal democracy, Western-style democracy, was introduced in Western nations, it did not happen overnight. It took hundreds of years. And of course, if you're an impatient radical, you will say that this is all wrong. We should just get it immediately. I know, I was once a Marxist, and that was my idea. Of course, maybe my idea of democracy was different than the idea of, let's say, George W. Bush. But I shared some basic principles with him, like the idea of how a new system could be introduced more or less overnight, because people would suddenly see how nice everything was, how good it was if you had this system. It never works. And look at Finland. When you had the Russian Revolution, and I mean the first revolution, when the Tsar was deposed, you had another one. You had another one a little later when the so-called legal government was deposed and the Bolsheviks took over. But Finland declared themselves independent, almost 100 years now. And at first, I think Russia didn't really want to allow this. But then Lenin came to power, and he allowed it, because his reasoning was very simple. He thought that the world revolution would get Finland anyway, and they would turn into a socialist paradise, just like the Soviet Union, etc. And what happened in Finland? Finland was cut loose from the old existing order, which was a good thing, because the old existing order wasn't there anymore. But still, you had unrest in Finland. There was civil war between Reds and Whites. The Whites, of course, were the known socialists. My ancestors in Finland fought on different sides. I've heard the war stories from both sides. And the amazing thing about Finland is that they managed, after a short but very bloody and very terrible civil war, they managed to turn into a civilized country. And do you want to know why? My theory about this is because Finland had Judeo-Christian Western civilization. You could say they got it from the Swedes. It's not really right to put it that way, because Finland didn't get it from the Swedes. Finland was a part of Sweden, and Finland and Sweden, Finland as the east land of Sweden, they developed it together. Sadly, this is a history that is very forgotten in both Sweden and Finland. But this is what happened. And because they had this, and when they became a Grand Duchy under the Russian Tsar, they were allowed to keep their old laws, as long as they paid tribute to the emperor. As long as they were under his rule, they were allowed to self-govern. So they were allowed to keep the old Swedish laws, which also were Finnish laws. Just to make this clear. And that's why Finland, they managed to develop into a Western democracy. And Finland is one of the most functioning countries in the world still, although they have done a few crazy things lately, with political correctness, with stupid migrant policies, etc. I hope they stop that. But yeah, these are just a few examples, just a few thoughts. I will need to get back to this at some later time. But this is what I have to say about this right now. I would like to thank all the people who are supporting this channel. And I have gotten a few donations on PayPal. I've got a few patrons on Patreon. I would very much like to get more, but I am very, very grateful for this. This makes it easier for me to make videos. So please carry on supporting. And if you like this channel, please subscribe, please like my videos, please comment. And that's what I have to say. This is A Swede Speaks. Have a nice day.